I seriously underestimated this paladin. No, not Heath, never Heath, but this scraggly haired paladin right here, whose name I unfortunately still don't know. Because after seeing the Ryuzen Seven in the last chapter prove that they're not the second coming of the Spirit Guardians, I, like most, assumed coming into this chapter that they would easily take out the two more minor paladins, leaving only Sister Lily as the one that gives them any degree of trouble. But assuming that was a big mistake, because this one single paladin has seemingly completely turned the tables on Ichika and her team, and he did it by summoning this little gremlin dog. Because this little guy emits a smoke that causes people to hallucinate their worst fears based on their memories. And that is the very important distinction between this illusion spell and the ones we've seen before, because this one works off the victim's own memories, even ones they didn't know they had. As we see with Ichika, whose biggest fear comes in the form of her abusive father, may he rot in hell. Now, Ichika admits that when she was a small child, she was definitely afraid of her father, but she's since outgrown that fear and is more than ready to take him on. Now, quick note I forgot to mention, the illusions seemingly take on an actual physical form that others can see and interact with. We know this because the first illusion we see is Kezokaku's fear, which takes on the form of a giant frog. Now, back to her father, who is the key part of this chapter, because he himself is not the fear that the gremlin dog conjured up for Ichika. He's simply the messenger, because his role in this fight is to reveal to Ichika the truth about what happened to their clan that is buried deep in her memories. And that is that it was not her brother who slaughtered their entire clan, but Ichika herself. Yami only took the blame to save his little sister from the trauma and guilt that she'd feel once she came to her senses and realized what she did, with the only member that he seemingly might be responsible for taking out being their father, and I don't think anyone's losing any sleep over that. If you guys can't tell, I really don't like their father. Now, the reason that Ichika doesn't remember being the one to unalive their clan is due to a drug that her father forced on her. This drug will unlock the hidden potential in the user, but cause them to become overcome with uncontrollable bloodlust, making them go wild like a rampaging demon. And I guess even as a child, with her potential unlocked, Ichika was just too much for this so-called clan of assassins to handle. Now, interesting thing to note, based on what we see from this flashback and the previous one we've seen of this event, it doesn't seem like Ichika attacked Yami much if at all, which tells me that even though she was under the influence of the drug, subconsciously she was able to choose who she attacked, staying away from the civilians of the Land of the Sun and her brother who she very much loved, and only targeting her clansmen who most likely treated her as roughly as her father did. Which means his desire to return the Yami clan back to their glory days ultimately ended up bringing about their downfall. And to think, originally he wanted Yami to take the drug, but he ended up turning it down, and I can only imagine if Ichika did that much damage to the clan as a small child, how much more damage or how much more fucked the clan would be if Yami's the one who took it instead. Now, after learning the unfortunate, sad truth about what really happened on that fateful day, Ichika became paralyzed with guilt and self-doubt, leaving her wide open for her father to attack. But that's when Asa comes in, mirroring exactly what Yami did for her in the past, and blocking the attack. And that, unfortunately, is where the chapter ends, with the Ryuzen Seven on the ropes, the Paladins as healthy as ever, and Asa showing up at the very last second to save the day, which means in the next chapter or two, we should get to see a hint of his perfected Zen. And like I said in the beginning of this video, this chapter really drew me for a loop, because while yes, I did expect Sister Lily to give Ryuzen's a run for their money, I never expected this other nameless paladin, yes I know he has a name, I just don't know it, this nameless paladin to be such a big threat. Because without him, this fight might not have been so one-sided. Yeah, sure, Heath and Lily did some significant damage with their combo magic and were able to take out 3 of the 5 good guys, but the 2 arguably strongest of the 5, Kezokaku and Ichika, while injured, were still up and ready to go, and the other 3 were able to get back up not too much long afterwards. Had this third paladin not been there to sideline Ichika and Kezokaku, I truly believe things might have been a lot more even, with the 2 of them tag teaming against Sister Lily to take her on, while the others take on Heath, who in my opinion, they will be able to keep at bay or possibly even take out. Because as far as we can tell ever since his reintroduction into the story, while Heath has gotten a lot stronger by being turned into a paladin and possibly having a soul fused with a high-ranking devil, maybe a little for Nama depending on which one actually had ice magic, I don't remember, but even though he has gotten a lot stronger, it does not seem like his abilities or use has gotten any more developed. He can definitely dish out a lot of damage, but there doesn't seem to be any new tricks or techniques added on to his arsenal, and without those, while he can, like I said, do a lot of damage to his opponents, without the help of others, I don't see him being that much of a threat. But with his third paladin and his gremlin dog, things have definitely become a lot more difficult.